To week five, everyone. Our discussion this week is based on your interpretation of a painting that Fuentes discusses in Constancia and is obviously pretty crucial to understanding his thinking, his philosophy on his time, and the way that he views literature as well. So Fuentes was born in 1928. He passed away a few years ago. Obviously, I'm a big fan of him. And the century in which he lived was particularly brutal. We had World War II, the dropping of the atomic bomb, political instability everywhere, Cold War. He was born right after the worst hand-to-hand combat ever, and that was World War I, which is when this painting was made by Paul Klee, Klee. It was done in 1920, so in the middle toward the end of the First World War. And it's called Angelus Novus, right? Angel, new angel, if you will. And the angel is always a herald, a messenger figure. But it doesn't have to be. I said always, but it doesn't have to be. And so what I want you to do when you're looking at this painting is just see what's going on in your minds when you see this angel. What are your reactions to it? What are your responses to it? How do you interpret what the artist did? And one thing that stands out to me is just how different this angel is from a Renaissance angel, for instance. So I'm going to move here to a painting that was done 350 years ago or so. And this angel has got this, big torso, very muscular, well-defined skeletal system, sort of androgynous, that's what angels are, right? Has features in common with both genders. Definitely set up in the clouds here. Seems to be in control of being on the clouds. See where the feet are right here, and you'll see a big difference to the angel's feet in the Paul Klee painting. Big broad wings with golden tips. You have a symbol of power that applies to both genders, both masculine and feminine. One that is strong, ready to deal with the world's problems. And of course, that was typical of the Renaissance, right? The idea of openness and celebrating maybe even what was the beginning of multiculturalism, but looking at the human being in a different way. And it's a positive one, right? Faith is still accepted, even though they're coming out of the Middle Ages, and it's just part of the human condition moving forward. But what I see here is an image of glory, if you will. And if we look at what goes on in the Klee painting 350 years later, those concepts of glory and strength are no longer here, right? And look at those feet. Whereas before the angel had its feet firmly resting in the clouds, here you have these chicken feet, I think, and this very kind of barren, drought-ridden, earth-tone background. And the figure of the angel, I'm not even sure if you'd call it androgynous. It's sort of like a lion's head and a chicken's feet. I'm not even sure it's human except for this very clear human face here, I think. But the contrasts are clear, right? The wings, right? Look how weak and feeble this being is. The feet, the garb, right? The clothes. What do those colors, the white and the pink, represent to you? Like femininity, maybe even purity, but power in its own way. And here it's just a sketch outline, right? This is the painting that Walter Benjamin was looking at when he wrote his observation, obviously, and he would take his life shortly after. If you don't know the story of Walter Benjamin, and he's discussed in Constancia, he's referred to. He was a thinker, a Jewish man who lived in the early part of the 20th century. And when Nazi occupation hit his homeland and he fled, he was trying to get his way to Spain. He was in France at the border, and he was being pursued because he was an intellectual and a powerful man. He was being pursued by the Nazis, and just short of his own capture, just short of his own escape into Spain, I should say, he was captured. And rather than facing the Nazis, he took his own life. And the interpretation that you have by Benjamin of this painting talks about what history is, what it means to him. And history is a powerful force. And it's a powerful force for Fuentes. And it seems to belittle us, make us disempowered, reduce us to sometimes even things that we wouldn't even consider human, but just a baseline humanity at best. The words that come to mind are weak and feeble, right? Unable to help, unable to connect, unable to communicate, right? That the messenger quality of the angel has totally disappeared, kind of thing. But this is Klay's angel of the 20th century, near the end of World War I, and if he painted it 40 years later, it might even look worse. So it's important for you all to reflect on this, look at Benjamin's interpretation about what the past is and what history is and what progress is and what actually moving forward might mean, and then apply that to your thinking of Constancia. And what you do, I think you'll get a sense that, yes, when we begin to read literature, we look for main characters, main themes. But I'm not sure that looking at this as having a main character is the right way to go about it. Yeah, Constancia is a central figure, there's no question about it. But I would even argue that the main character is a concept in this story, that it's history itself and what it does to these characters and the way they view it, what it's done to Plotnikov, the way Whitby views it, and then how he changes, and then of course Constancia as well. And for her, it's even hard to say that she has an identity, right? And I think you could argue that, well, Fuentes would say that history has done that to her. So I hope those thoughts help you in just kind of wrapping your mind around what's going on in this wonderful short story. And as always, reach out to me if you have any questions. Take care for now.